Larry Silverstein was told not to come into work. That's why him, his daughter, and his son never showed up to work on 9/11. He put an insurance policy on the buildings. Reporters, do your job.
So here is a cartoon telling us stuff about 9/11 that I wish I didn't know, kind of. And it sounds like it's true. So I hope I can play this. The person who made this is Invisidon at Quantum Alter Ed X.
Altered.
Okay. So
he made that on.
So if you wondered about why would someone want to blow up the Twin Towers and Building 7? Because it looks now pretty much everyone's coming to the conclusion that, of course, what we did during 9/11 was we didn't believe our lying eyes, and we believed what the government said about how those Twin Towers came down, along with Building 7, and now we know it's pretty much a lie. Building 7 is 100% a lie. Building 7 was imploded. That's been scientifically proven. And hundreds, if not thousands, of engineers have said there's no way that those planes brought down the Twin Towers. So what was behind it? Well, the guy who owned it, the Twin Towers and building, was a guy named Larry Silverstein, and he had a big problem on his hands because he was going to have to get the asbestos out of the building, and it was going to cost too much money to do that, and it was going to cost too much money to implode it. So they just decided to, let's watch.
1.5 billion.
Well, now that's just insane.
These fucking vultures are trying to pluck my eyes out.
Have you talked to Rudy yet?
Rudy was the one who told me.
That's the price. I mean, what do you want me to say? It's 1.5. It's just what it is.
This is just... When big things move, all parties have to be mutually, Well, it goes without saying, somebody is incredibly miffed you made that
Miffed?
deal.
My guys told me 150 million tops. If I can't get that shit out of those walls for less than 1.5 billion, I'm fakakta. You understand? I never should have listened to you.
I never told you to buy 2 towers of Babel filled with asbestos. Nothing in New York real estate is that easy. You weren't buying a fucking deli.
I don't have 1.5. I need that shit out of the walls, or I need those buildings
Which
gone.
I told you is never going to happen. The demolition will probably cost more than it did to build the fucking thing.
See? Fakakta. At this point, it costs less to get someone to fly fucking planes into the building and collect the insurance.
For that, you'd need terrorism insurance.
I'll call you back. Deborah!
I'm right here, sir.
Oh, I need you to find out what kind of terrorism insurance we've got on those piece of shit towers.
Mr. Vice President, I've got an interesting idea I'd like to propose to you.
Did somebody order a false flag operation?
Get him whatever he wants. I just want him to feel like he's part of the team. Just pull it already. Pull it!
And then when France doesn't join, we're going to call them Freedom Fries.
So I found this fucking passport over there. It's kind of burnt up, but not too bad, considering it came from a fucking plane crash. Am I right? And not for nothing, but I already checked it, and it's a fucking Saudi Arabian guy. It's definitely probably one of the terrorists, because, well, I mean, fucking come on here.
Even enemies need to agree sometimes.
And if you call it the global war on terrorism, I mean terrorism can be anywhere. So now you can fight everywhere. It's gonna be great. So that's the plan so far. Be honest. What do you guys think?
I'll tell you, Dick, Daddy's going to think this is just so cool, It's like getting the band back together.
Look at those dancing Israelis.
So, boy, I tell you what, the Saturday morning cartoons certainly have come a long way from when I was a kid. I'll tell you that. Move over, Scooby-Doo. Time to reveal who was behind 9/11. Yoinks! So, what do you miss? I miss the way I viewed the world before I knew too much about it.
I don't.
Yeah.
Because I watch people that don't know about it, and I really have to fight my urge to talk down at them and look down at them, and I can't.
Me too.
I just talk down to them.
Here's who made that. Like it. It's on YouTube.com. So a Timeline Junkie Films. Hey, y'all, I'm the creator of this video. You can see the full episode on my YouTube, Timeline Junkie Films. So everybody check that out. But I just want to give you a little bit of info about him. He acquired a 99-year lease for the Twin Towers just 6 weeks before 9/11. He insures both towers for $3.2 billion against acts of terrorism and ensures he can build a new World Trade Center complex if it's destroyed. His wife allegedly convinces him to attend the dermatologist appointment on the morning of 9/11 instead of his scheduled meeting in the North Tower.
Larry, get that mole checked.
So they all get that mole checked. So
Larry, get your mole checked.
All three buildings collapsed to dust, plummeting near free fall speed. Files insurance claim for $7 billion, arguing that the attacks on the Twin Towers consisted of two separate events, thus doubling his compensation from his insurance policy. He settles for $4.5 billion compensation on the Twin Towers and collects millions in other insurance payouts. He then builds the new World Trade Center complex.
Which was that bidet? They made a giant bidet. See, Larry, you wanted to go to work, but I said go to your appointment, and then now you're alive, and you're a lot richer than you would have been.
So here he is. Here he is being asked about this. So look at what happened to the journalist who asked Larry Silverstein about the bomb explosion that happened during 9/11, because lots of firemen said there were bombs exploding in the basement.
Of Building 7?
No, in all of them. Yeah.
No, tell him to shut up.
After the controversial question, he was kicked out of the press conference.
Said you spoke to Fire Chief Negro, denies talking to you on that day of 9/11. Can you answer those questions?
So he says, Larry Silverstein says, hey, you said you talked to the fire chief on 9/11. Fire chief said he never talked to you. And let's remember, Larry Silverstein famously on a video saying, we made the decision to pull it, meaning Building 7, to pull it, meaning...
That's what that is?
Yeah.
Him say, wow, okay.
Yeah.
You said you spoke to Fire Chief Negro, denies talking to you on that day of 9/11. Can you answer those questions and address the theories against you?
I suggest for everybody's consideration that we all look at the thousands of pages of testimony that have been rendered in the many years since 9/11. And let's use today's session for some of this.
Are you aware of testimony of bombs in the building before the building collapsed, sir? Are you aware of that testimony? Sir, there's testimony.
Is that Luke Witkowski?
Sir, you don't have to touch me. Listen, I'll walk away. All I'm asking is a question. I don't have to be kicked out. It's a legitimate question. You don't have to put your hands on me. But all I'm saying is, no, I'm not. I'm here asking. The question was not answered. That's why I have a grievance. Larry Silverstein was told not to come into work. That's why him, his daughter, and his son never showed up to work on 9/11. He put an insurance policy on the buildings. Reporters, do your job.
And of course, they're not going to do their job.
Yeah, the answer is no.
Nothing to see here unless you're anti-evidence. Are you anti-evidence? Come on. Are any of these ABC News reporters still? Are they even around?
I don't know, but I don't like how anti-Semitic this was, Jimmy.
We'll be right back with more of this story after a brief message from our sponsor. JP Morgan expects gold prices to surge to $6,300 per ounce by the end of 2026. This comes against a backdrop where gold has already moved into record territory, having surpassed $5,000 per ounce just this year. According to JP Morgan, this is more than just temporary market panic. They believe gold prices are being supported by a structural floor created by central banks and large institutional investors, as well as underlying macro pressures like geopolitical uncertainty and diversification away from paper assets. Even after the recent price pullbacks, JP Morgan says long-term momentum remains intact. And then there's silver. Silver continues to trade in triple digits, reflecting broader precious metals momentum. Many analysts now see silver pricing entering a repricing phase, with industrial demand and supply pressures driving interest. Silver's dual role, industrial use and monetary metal, makes its recent move noteworthy. There's a big reason institutions are talking about precious metals. If you want to learn more, Monetary Gold has a complimentary gold and silver guide. Visit jimmylovesgold.com or call 800-476-7790 to request their free guide. I want to show you this. This is a visibly nervous Howard Lutnick, who also didn't show up for work that day, said he took his kid to school that day. He never did that before. 9/11.
Epstein school.
9/11, he doesn't go in. And so he somehow miraculously survived 9/11. Now, multiple reports say that day, all of them with close ties to Israel received a message not to go to work. And let's watch this.
He's really been great. And Howard has built one of the great companies, Cantor Fitzgerald. It was wiped out, completely wiped out, other than a few people left in Europe. And he rebuilt the company into a bigger, better company. Cantor Fitzgerald is one of the most, absolutely one of the top companies on Wall Street, stocks, bonds, trading. And he took that. I mean, he literally watched the plane go into the building, go into the World Trade Center. Amazing story. That alone is an amazing story. He was delayed because his wife insisted that he finally, after years, take his child to school. So he took his child to school that one day, because normally he would have been in the building at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's
why would you laugh about that? Why would you, just like when they ask him.
It's kind of funny looking back now.
Whenever they ask him about Jeffrey Epstein files, he also
it's the next happiest feeling after Duper's delight.
Yes.
It's Duper's giggle or something, or Duper's guffaw.
That business, right? So you owe your wife a lot and your child a lot, right? But his wife insisted that he take his child to school. For 5 years he didn't do it. He was horrible. What kind of a father was he? Okay, I'll do it. And he was therefore driving down at 8:43, whatever the time was, down the West Side Highway, and he saw the plane go into the side of the building. He said, wow. And he occupied the top 3 floors of the World Trade Center, of the one building of the World Trade Center. And you know what happened there? He lost 100% of the people in that, his whole company was there. And he rebuilt his company step by step over years, and became bigger and stronger, and he gave a tremendous amount of the profit to the families of the people that died.
Yeah, no, he didn't.
Which he didn't have to do. And now he's working with us. He did an incredible job. I mean, anybody in that world, they know Howard Lutnick very well.
Okay, one word, over-explaining.
Is Trump, does he hate these people? It's some bizarre thing when he talks about these people. I'm like, are you trying to fuck with him?
Mm-hmm. It sounds like it.
But I can't tell. Is it like, what's happening? It was not a good story to tell.
No.
And let's just remember.
He never would drive his kid to school. So it's a little suspicious, but he finally took his kid to school and said, oh, look, it's dead. The tower's dead now.
Let's remember how ABC News reported this in June of 2002.
It began when this woman was watching the Twin Towers burning from her apartment in New Jersey. She noticed 3 men on top of a van, posing for pictures with the towers burning in the background.
And I could see that they were like happy. You know, they didn't look shocked to me. You know, they didn't look shocked. I thought it was very strange.
The witness called police, who stopped the van hours later and arrested 5 men. All 5, it turns out, were Israeli. They were turned over to the FBI.
Oh, yeah.
Sources tell ABC News during a check of national security databases, some of the men were listed as having had connections with Israeli intelligence. At the FBI, that set off alarm bells.
Oh,
the
really?
FBI needed the answers to 3 important questions. Who were these men? What brought them to that parking lot on the morning of September 11th?
And how are we going to cover this up? No, I'm sorry. What was the third thing?
And did they have any advanced knowledge of what was going to happen that day? The men said they were just taking pictures at the time. They said they worked for a company called Urban Moving. The FBI obtained a search warrant for the company's offices.
2 SUVs were filled up with between 9 and 12 boxes and computers.
Not long after the arrests, the offices of Urban Moving were simply abandoned. Almost everything was left behind. In jail, the 5 Israelis were repeatedly interrogated and given lie detector tests. Stephen Gordon was their American lawyer.
They were asked questions if they had ever been approached by or hired by any non-United States intelligence community.
While there is still some debate among American intelligence officials, many investigators believe some of the men were part of an Israeli operation aimed at monitoring radical Islamic charities that support groups like Hamas, something lawyers for the 5 men and the Israeli government strongly deny.
These 5 Israelis were not involved in any intelligence operation in the United States. The story is simply false.
In the end, the FBI concluded there was no evidence that any of the 5 men had advance knowledge of the September 11th plot. After 71 days,
they were just happy. They just happened to be having a viewing party of the implosion of the Twin Towers. And then they were just dancing around.
That part's not in dispute, right? That's the part we know happened. That's not the part that's made up.
You mean the part that they were dancing and they were happy that the Twin Towers?
Yeah, because I remember going to war because they showed me a bunch of evil Muslims dancing and celebrating what happened to the Twin Towers. And you're telling me there's these other guys from a certain Middle Eastern country that are dancing and celebrating about the Twin Towers on the day of the Twin Towers? Before the Arabs?
Why would they? I thought it was just Arabs who were dancing. Turns out the Israelis were dancing.
Shouldn't we have attacked them just in case they were celebrating like we did with the Muzzies?
Right? Here we go. There's more to this.
The 5 Israelis were deported, leaving some ruffled feathers among both U.S. and Israeli officials. According to federal officials, the 5 men have been barred from returning to the United States for 10 years, they say because they violated immigration laws.
Bottom line, John, is there any evidence any of these 5 men knew about the September 11th attacks before they occurred?
The FBI spent a great deal of time examining this question. It does not appear that they were in place taking pictures before the planes hit, but shortly thereafter. And they say they haven't uncovered evidence that any of these 5 men, and they did their backgrounds, they searched apartments, they telephone records and so on, had any advanced knowledge of the attack.
And while the FBI are...
And then that moving company they said they worked for just disappeared. Just disappeared. So you're not going to bring that up again? You're not going to... Nothing? No? Okay.
Certain sources might believe that, in fact, they were Israeli intelligence. They don't believe that the U.S. was a target, that they were actually investigating Muslim groups.
Yeah.
They believe if this was an intelligence operation by Israel, that it was focused on the Islamic groups and charities that raise money for groups that are considered by U.S. law enforcement and others terrorist groups. And you'll note that after September 11th, the U.S. moved on many of these groups with indictments, arrests, raids on their headquarters, something that hadn't happened prior to this.
These are groups that Israel believes have been funding Hamas and other terrorist organizations.
Groups that are responsible for most of the suicide bombings there.
All right, John Miller will have a full report. You can see it tonight on 2020 at 10 o'clock.
Okay, well, unfortunately, none of those reporters are even around anymore because they all hang themselves in their cell. What's that, Kurt? Turn up, Kurt.
I haven't seen that. Well,
go ahead.
Can you hear me? I haven't seen that blonde guy for many years.
Have you? I haven't. I think I heard he hung himself in the cell. Anyway, so you know what you the whole world you live in, as we figured out recently, is one giant psyop. Yeah. You live in one giant psyop, from the JFK to the Vietnam War to RFK to Martin Luther King to the Iraq War, to the 9/11, to Iraq, to Libya, to Syria, to Afghanistan, now back to Iran, Ukraine. It's COVID, Russiagate. It's one giant psyop. You're living in one giant psyop. Nothing is Joe Biden's not demented. The whole thing, you had a demented guy who wasn't even running who was running the country for those 4 years. Psyop. Anyway, I'm going to guess the shadow government was giving the directions to the deep state, who were giving their directions to Antony Blinken, and that's who was running the country. That's my guess.
Yeah, now those orders go directly to Lutnick.
Yeah, now Lutnick, who seems to be Trump's handler inside the administration.
Yeah.
Okay, so
slips to God's ear.
So I hope everybody knows that nothing is real, everything is fake. Oh, there's a saying, right? What's that saying that people say now? Nothing is real, everything's a psyop. Or everything's a psyop, nothing is real, something blah, blah, and blah, blah. And then but I don't remember what the saying is. But anyway, if you want to hear me make more jokes about this, come see me in Lansing, Milwaukee, San Antonio, Albuquerque, Houston, Dallas, Salt Lake City, Las Vegas. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and only jimmydore.com. Because if you go anywhere else, you're going to pay more money. Hey, come see me on tour in Lansing, Milwaukee, San Antonio, Albuquerque, Houston, Dallas, Salt Lake City, Las Vegas. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and don't go anywhere else, because if you do, they'll charge you more.